going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aidan, and welcome back to another video. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got a Chicago Bulls and Oklahoma City Thunder game reaction. A very ugly game, to say the least. Not very, I guess, good to watch on the eye. But ladies and gentlemen, whatever the case may be, no matter if it was a pretty game, an ugly game, whatever the game may be, we walked away with the most important thing in the game, and that is a win. Very short-staffed team at the end of the day today, but a surprising return that we'll be talking about in this video. Before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show. Turn notifications on. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the current Chicago Bulls state. Of course, we are currently on a 3-game win streak. And let me know in the comments below your thoughts about the player of the game and the way the game was played today. We won this game 106-101, and I know what you guys are thinking. It was a really decent performance from the Chicago Bulls. We did what we were expected to do. Look, we walked away with the win, and that's the most important thing, but this game was far from pretty, and there were a lot of things that got us in a situation where we were at threat of losing this game to the Oklahoma City Thunder. We sorely missed a couple of our guys today, and mainly we're talking about Zach LaVine and Javonte Green. Obviously, we haven't seen Lonzo and Caruso for a while, and I'm definitely positive we miss them as well, especially defensively. But in today specifically, not seeing Zach LaVine and Javonte after seeing them return is a big difference in the game. And we really saw a poor offensive display without those two in the lineup compared to when they're both in the lineup. But we walked away with the win. Positive thing, the best thing out of the game. We can win the game by 1, we can blow this team out by 50, whatever it is, you have to walk away with the win. At this point in time, we're not in a situation where we could just kind of criticize this team for not winning at a certain way that we expect. Right now, we're in a situation where a loss could take us all the way down to the 5th seed and things of that nature. So picking up a win in this team is really vital for the Chicago Bulls because it keeps us in a position where we are one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference, and we just have to keep on fighting and securing these wins left, right, and center. No matter what the team is at the moment in terms of injuries and all of that, we just got to find those ways. And today I felt like we found a way. The first half was awful. Let's be blunt. The first half was awful for the Chicago Bulls. 5 turnovers in the very, very early stages of the game. Wide open threes for the OKC Thunder. They took it to the paint. They ran out in transition. Everything Oklahoma City Thunder did, the Chicago Bulls didn't have an answer for in the first half. We made some good runs here and there, and our offense definitely kept us in this game from the likes of Vucevic and DeRozan. But at the end of the day, our first half was dreadful. Moving into the second half, things picked up. Definitely things picked up. We start to focus on Vucevic in the paint a little bit more. You could tell the difference between Vucevic in the first half and the second half. Vucevic in the first half took a lot more threes, trying to get himself going from there. In the second half, Vucevic dominated in the paint, went into the post, and did things from there. And it was very damaging and very effective for the Chicago Bulls. And then you look at guys like Ayo Dosunmu, that once again was flirting with a triple-double pretty much the whole game. Was phenomenal to see, and he picked himself up in the second half. Coby White, the definition of picking yourself up in the second half, had a great game as a starter in today's game as well. So all the way through, the second half really helped us, and without that second half performance, we would be talking about a blowout loss in many ways to the OKC Thunder, who only scored 101 points. It was a very low scoring game, yet the Chicago Bulls were definitely at a threat at one stage in this game to get blown out. So we do have a lot to be thankful for. Obviously, I'm thankful that DeRozan showed up in the fourth quarter as well. I'm just really happy with the Bulls win. I'm very happy that we are currently on a 3-game win streak, and I'm very happy, no matter how short-staffed we were, that we're continuing to fight and win some of these games, especially when we least expect it. In the first half, I was thinking to myself we weren't going to win this game. I know we should have a lot more faith in this Bulls team than we did, but it was so poor in the first half that I was really frustrated with this team, and I thought there was a good chance we were going to lose. But thankfully, an NBA game is full of runs, and we made a really strong run. We made a 10-0 run in the late second to get this to halftime, and we ended up having a good stretch in the second half to kind of secure the win for us. Obviously, Neil Funk, ladies and gentlemen, this was the Neil Funk Appreciation Night, and he ended up having a good second quarter commentary type of situation where he ended up being back where he belongs, talking with Stacey King, and it felt like old times, ladies and gentlemen, and it's really good to see him back and talking and speaking about the Chicago Bulls and everything of that nature. Obviously, it's his appreciation night, and I hope he felt very appreciated because it was great from at least watching at home to see him back and talking about the Chicago Bulls. And let's talk about Derrick Jones for a little bit now, ladies and gentlemen. This came out of the blue to me. I had no clue whatsoever that he was going to be able to play today against the Oklahoma City Thunder. But lo and behold, here he was, ladies and gentlemen. And there are a few things I need to get out of the way with him. One, I'm very happy that he's back. Obviously, that's the first thing to get out of the way. The fact that he was able to come back a little bit earlier, much earlier than anticipated, is a great sign. But you can clearly see that he's still hurt out there, ladies and gentlemen. And that is something that brings great worry to me. Obviously, index fingers and breaking them, and sometimes fingers in general, you just have to play through the pain and it will heal over time. But it's a very stressful situation to know that every time Derrick Jones Jr. goes in for a dunk or tries to grab a rebound, or if he has the ball in his hands and someone's slapping his hand, there's a potential threat of an injury getting significantly worse. So I'm not sure if this was the best idea to play Derrick Jones Jr. I'm very happy that he's back. He did make a decent contribution. Again, our bench was very poor in total, but Derrick Jones Jr. was okay. Not the best, but again, it's his first game back, so he's definitely going to get a pass no matter how badly he played. But I'm not sure if this was the best idea for the Chicago Bulls to pull the trigger on seeing him return. I guess only time will tell on that situation. If he manages to heal over time and no other injuries are sustained on his behalf, then that's obviously the best thing for the Chicago Bulls, to see him back, to see that effort and energy back, that defensiveness. We've seen all of the toughness as well. Derrick Jones Jr. brings all of that in abundance, and I think that was the big thing that we saw with his game today. But if he's going to continue to play hurt, if he's not going to go and attack the paint because he's going to hurt his finger and there's a threat there, then maybe we should have sat him out a little bit longer, at least until after the All-Star break, so he has even more time on his hands to recover and heal. But we'll wait and see if that's the right decision or not. Again, the Bulls medical staff, the Bulls coaching staff, they have the final decisions on these things, as well as Derrick Jones Jr. himself. They clearly feel like he's ready to go. Otherwise, he wouldn't be there. Let's just see if the right decision was made on his return. Let's look at the individual performances, starting off with Ayo Dosunmu, flirting with a triple-double today. 12 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists, and 1 steal. Once again, very efficient from the field. 5 from 8 from the field, 2 from 4 from the three-point line. And very similar game, very consistent game from Aidan Dosunmu that we've been seeing for a very long time now. The assist play, the no looks, the pick and rolls. Him and Vucevic are really developing a great connection on the floor. Even him and players like Tony Bradley and Tyler Cook could really develop a great relationship, because he does try to find the big man in a pick and roll. Something that really, in my opinion, made Vucevic have the strong game that he had today. He got 2 posterizers, Vucevic, and both of them were passes from Ayo Dosunmu off of a pick and roll. So he should be very proud of his performance today, Ayo Dosunmu. Again, a really big contributor in very different ways. Defensively, very, very strong. Offensively, very efficient when he doesn't need to be the primary scorer, and he's still scoring 60% from the field, making some great threes, going into the paint and stuff of that nature, getting a steal to get a wide open dunk. These are the highlight plays for Ayo, and he delivered on the court again. One day we will be talking about him getting a triple-double. It's not far away, in my opinion. I think one day we will be discussing how Ayo got his first triple-double, and how once again he continues to surprise and elevate his game for the Chicago Bulls. Trust me, I really feel like it's coming. DeMar DeRozan had 38 points, 6 rebounds, 5 assists, and 1 steal. He also, in my opinion, had a game of 2 halves. I thought in the first half, he was definitely still there. He was still someone to be worried about from the Oklahoma City Thunder side, but his efficiency level was not as good as previous games. But in the second half, and especially in the fourth quarter, DeMar DeRozan was the DeMar DeRozan we all expect. He took 16 free throws in the game today, which means that he was getting people on the pump fakes left, right, and center. He was causing havoc on the court, and at the end of the day, he couldn't be guarded, so OKC had to foul him and send him to the foul line. And that's a mistake, because he made 14 out of 16 of them, ladies and gentlemen. 14 free points for him, and he was truly amazing in this game as well, especially in the second half. He has a lot to be proud of. Coby White, nearly a double-double performance, ladies and gentlemen, for Coby White. He had 16 points, 9 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal. He was overall 6 from 13 from the field and 4 from 6 from the three-point line. Once again, it was a game of two halves for Coby White. In the first half for Coby White, I thought he was okay. He definitely did some good things cutting to the basket. But in the second half, that was clearly his half, ladies and gentlemen. Making some contested threes, some catch-and-shoot threes. Again, good playmaking. Good defense as well on some of those instances all the way through. Coby White, again, is in a situation where he's kind of benched and starting. Every single game, it feels like he's playing a different position or a different role, but he's still finding ways to deliver on the court, and he should be very happy with another strong game off of a back-to-back. A great game against the Minnesota Timberwolves, and now a pretty good game against the Oklahoma City Thunder. He should be very happy. And speaking of someone that should be very happy, Nikola Vucevic with 31 points, 15 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 steals, and 2 blocks. You can clearly see the difference in Nikola Vucevic's game. The first half, 0 from 4 from the three-point line. I know he didn't take all 4 of them in the first half, of course, but majority of them were taken in the first half. But in the paint, the post, the mid-range, again, that's where his bread and butter was, and that's where the massive damage was dealt for the Chicago Bulls. Points in the paint from Nikola Vucevic. At the end of the day, who on the Oklahoma City Thunder's team can stop Nikola Vucevic? They have a very small team, a very small lineup, and no one can stop Nikola Vucevic in the paint. No one can guard Vucevic on the Oklahoma City Thunder. I thought the Bulls did a great adjustment in the second half to prioritize getting the ball to Vucevic over the first half. There were a few instances in the game as well where we need to learn how to get Vucevic the ball on the post. And I'm talking about Troy Brown Jr. in this instance. There's been so many times this season where he's just failed to get the ball into the post, and it really hurts the Chicago Bulls team because we're missing opportunities to get easy points in the paint. Vucevic was fantastic today, definitely in contention for player of the game for me, and I thought without him as the presence in the game, I don't know where we would be, because again, the backup centers for this team was not delivering on the court today. Tyler Cook, Tony Bradley, both of them were really, really poor. So Nikola Vucevic picked up the slack on their behalves, to be honest, and it does show that we really do need a backup center, because if we had another 7-footer on this team that can even remotely score in the paint, we have a really dominating presence on the boards as well. It's a big thing, that backup center position, but Vucevic is definitely showing what he could truly be on this team. And Troy Brown Jr., he had 11 rebounds. That's really the only stat that he had in today's game. Look, Troy Brown Jr. for many people was probably the worst player on the court today because he was just so inefficient. He was 0 from 9 from the field today, 0 from 5 from the three-point line. That's like I guess a schoolboy type of stat line. Someone that has never played basketball before. Someone that's athletic and gets rebounds, but someone that just simply can't play basketball. That's the comparison. Of course, I'm not saying Troy Brown can't play basketball, but what I'm saying is at the NBA level, you have to be able to score the ball. Otherwise, you're limiting what your impact is on the court. But the best thing that he could have done today is make impact in other areas. So he did do that well. He got rebounds. He ended up getting nice defensive stats as well, or getting some nice defensive displays, and he was doing a lot of the hustle things. That is really important for a Chicago Bulls player that's not scoring the ball well. But with 27 minutes played, I expect 0 points to not be the scoreline for Troy Brown Jr. So that's definitely a conversation that we need to have for the must improve. I guess we'll wait and see. Moving into the bench, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to start off with Derrick Jones Jr. that had 3 points, 2 rebounds, 1 assist, and 1 steal. Now look, I thought he played very similar to what we're going to be saying with Troy Brown Jr. I think he played good defense. I think he did decent enough in trying to crash the boards and again the switches and the steals. But 1 from 5 from the field with 20%, not the best. 0 from 1 from the three-point line, again, not the best. But out of everybody, he's the one that gets the pass for today's game because, one, arguably he shouldn't even be playing in this team at the moment. And it's his first game back after so many 6 to 8 week injuries for him. So he's probably had the most time out outside of Alex Caruso on this team. So it's going to take a lot of time to get himself back to, I guess, game shape and back to really contributing the way that we want him to defensively and offensively for the Chicago Bulls. But all in all, I give him a lot of credit for battling it out today. Still, I'm questioning if it's the right decision to play him. But if the Bulls are going to keep on rolling with him and he still believes he could keep fighting it out and he plays well, then that's all I could really ask for out of him. It's going to take some time, but I believe he can do it. And the last person I'm going to talk about is Malcolm Hill with 6 points, 3 rebounds. And on this team, again, 2 from 4 from the field, 1 from 3 from the three-point line. Good transition play, decent defense as well for Malcolm Hill, and that's something I expect out of the bench. But again, the bench scoring only 9 points off of the bench today. So guys like Matt Thomas that played 13 minutes and got 0 points, that needs to improve. Tyler Cook played 3 minutes. Tony Bradley played 1 minute. So those two are clearly not trusted by the coaching staff, and therefore they're the limited minutes that they got as well. But the bench has to do more. Billy Donovan's been talking about how much this bench really needs someone to step up on it. And unfortunately, that's not the response that I expected when he's really calling out what this bench has to do. For the must improve, I think I'm going to give it to Troy Brown Jr. Again, he did a lot of good things other than scoring, but with 27 minutes played and you're taking 9 shots on the day, you have to find ways to score, at least get to the foul line. I feel like some of the shot selection was very poor. Some of the open shots that he blatantly missed as well. It's not a good game from Troy Brown Jr. overall. This is the highest rebounding game he's had in over 2 years. So that's obviously a positive. And he did impact the game in that way and in different ways as well defensively. But on the offensive end, again, when you have someone slacking off on the offensive end, you can clearly, the defense can adjust to that. If it was a playoff situation where versus a better team, teams will adjust to Troy Brown Jr. missing those kinds of shots. So in the next game, I expect a lot better from Troy Brown Jr. Hopefully he can deliver. The player of the game for me is going to be Nikola Vucevic. I know DeMar DeRozan once again had another terrific game with a 38-point and 5 assist night. It's definitely his team and he's running the show, ladies and gentlemen. But Vucevic, in my opinion, was the biggest threat on the court, and we had to capitalize what he could bring to the table at a high level. And I think without Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan would still get his 38 and 6 and 5. But that big threat in the paint that we all knew was going to be the case wasn't going to be there in today's game without Vucevic. So I thought he was the key to the game before coming into this game, and he's definitely, in my opinion, the player of the game afterwards. That's how good he was on this team. The Bulls' record is 36-21. I believe we still remain second in the Eastern Conference. I'm not sure how Miami and Brooklyn ended up going. If Brooklyn did end up winning that game, which I doubt that they did, then we would have ended up being first in the Eastern Conference. But at the moment, I still believe we are second. It is what it is, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to focus on ourselves. We're just going to keep on pushing the tempo and carrying forward, and we'll see what the outcome ends up happening with our team overall. But it's a good win, and it's a win that we truly needed. Our next game, ladies and gentlemen, is against the San Antonio Spurs. Now, last time we versed San Antonio, we ended up losing that game away from home, and that is definitely something to look out for. San Antonio is not going to be an easy game for the Chicago Bulls. Not far from it, but obviously it's a different kind of team. They have Josh Richardson now, I believe, and Derrick White is on the Boston Celtics. So that could definitely be something that goes in our favor, or maybe it won't be. Who really knows? But I do want to win this game. Hopefully Zach and Javonte will be back as well, so we can have the best chance possible to win this game. And again, we are currently on a win streak, and we need to find ways to beat teams like the San Antonio Spurs heading into our next game. It's a very important game. 2 games left until our All-Star break, and then we get to see DeMar DeRozan have a little bit of a break. Zach LaVine actually might miss some of the All-Star events, so he might not be back against San Antonio personally, but that's going to be sucky to see if he misses the All-Star game or not. We'll have to wait and see. Early time's going to tell. Let's just hope both of them can come back as soon as possible, in Zach and Javonte. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care.